Former President Donald Trump is suing Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, accusing them of censorship and violating free speech protections. All three tech companies removed him from their platforms after the January 6th attack on the Capitol. This is a class action lawsuit, which Trump has the lead plaintiff, so it will claim to be on behalf of other people who believe they've been illegally censored by the social media companies. Many legal experts say the suits won't hold up against existing precedent. For more on how this could all play out, we bring in Professor Josh Blackman with the South Texas College of Law. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for Houston's Morning Show. What is laid out in this lawsuit now?
Trump is claiming that these social media companies are discriminating against him and other conservatives because of their political beliefs, that they're being shadow banned, that they're being blocked, that they're being censored, and that their rights are being violated.
Can these companies be held liable with this lawsuit?
I'm really skeptical. I think we understand what Trump is complaining about, that often social media companies take actions that conservatives perceive as unfair. But these are still private companies, and the First Amendment doesn't give you the right to speak on a platform like Facebook or Twitter.
Now, is this one of the best routes to take to get back onto these social media channels for the former president?
You know, I think the courts are not the best route. The better route would be Congress. Congress could consider legislation that imposes restrictions on these companies, that they need to meet certain criteria to ban people. All things considered, I think Trump still would have been banned because of January 6th. But I think a lot more people would perhaps potentially benefit from legislation rather than litigation.
Now, you did mention that, this particular area is not, let's say, addressed in the Constitution. So what does that actually mean? Private companies cannot be sued in this type of a way?
Right. The First Amendment says that the government cannot abridge the freedom of speech, but private citizens can. I'm on your show right now. I don't have the right to say whatever I want. If I start cursing and yelling, you can cut me off, and that's Fox's right to do so. Facebook, Fox, and different outlets are private companies. They are not required to comply with the First Amendment. They can choose what voices they have and what voices they do not have, and that's part of the aspects of having a free market.
So in a sense, the private companies can practice censorship because it is their right to do so?
Right. I wouldn't even call it censorship. The same way that a TV station can decide who comes in the air and who doesn't, Facebook and Twitter can decide who has an account and who doesn't. And the First Amendment says nothing about those decisions.
So when folks call this censorship, or when the president says in the suit that this is censorship of he and others, what exactly are we talking about? And because you're saying that it's not really censorship.
I think the word censorship is used very loosely today to mean someone stops you from saying something you don't like. But historically, the word censorship applied to the government and not private parties. But I'm sympathetic. Today, Facebook and YouTube have more power than many other government entities. So there's an argument that perhaps these companies have become basically public utilities, or like the phone company, or like the railroad back in the day. So maybe there's some space for Congress to legislate here. But I think under current law and the First Amendment, this suit is a non-starter.
So real quickly, Congress would have to act on this.
I think so.
Professor Blackman, South Texas College of Law, thank you so very much for joining us here on Houston's Morning Show.